Hello art friends, welcome back to Paperlicious Design Studio. Melisa here. When I started my channel on March 25th, 2020, I did it just for fun. I was out of work for about 6 weeks and stuck at home because of COVID-19. I needed something fun to focus on. I had shared my projects on my blog for years and had always wanted to do videos, so it seemed like the perfect time to give it a try. But I never thought I'd be over 100 subscribers or at 2,500 views in 4 months when I started. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching. So the fun news I want to share with you is that I'll be on the SHAWN PETITE creative team for the next year. I'm so excited. SHAWN is such an amazing artist. I found her channel in April and I've been a fan ever since. My first official video is not due till September, but I couldn't wait. So for today's project, I'm using products from her subscriber library. SHAWN is so generous and gives away free collage elements. These are a few of the pages that are currently available for free in her subscriber library. Subscribe to her newsletter and you'll get the password to her subscriber library where you can download free collage elements. I'll post links in the description box below the video. Just click the Show More button. She updates the library and switches out the free downloadables, so you should check back weekly for new freebies. Using SHAWN's collage elements and 2 of her stencils, I created an art journal layout in my 5.5 by 5.5 Arteza art journal, a thank you card, and 2 3x5 art cards. And as always, if any of you would like to swap art cards, just let me know. Alright, so let's get started on today's project and I'll share more info. I started by trimming a piece of ledger paper and a piece of music paper down to 5.5 by 5.5 inches. I'll adhere these in my Arteza art journal a little later. Let me start out by saying my printer is at least 15 years old and for some reason it's not printing the colors accurately at times. If you compare some of what I printed out to the printables in the subscriber library, you'll see what I mean. On the ledger paper, instead of looking aged, it gave a pinkish hue. And later, note that the decorative element on the front of my card should have been brown, but for some reason it printed purple. It worked out great for my card. I just don't want to mislead you. It's not available in purple. I think it's time to do some research and order a new printer. Right now, I'm building my background. I'm not one of those artists who knows exactly where I'm going with the projects before I get started. Before I started the background, I did do a little planning. I looked at all the elements in the subscriber library and there were several options for creating my focal point. I trimmed out the birds, flowers, and clocks and just started shifting them around to create a cluster. After deciding on the focal point for the left page, I picked out the background collage papers and the Mediterranean Duo stencil. But beyond that, it came together as I was creating. I hope all this info about how I design helps any of you who are beginners. Again, the cutouts, background papers, and title/poem are all available in the free subscriber library at the time the video was made. I will put links in the description box below as to where you can purchase them if you miss getting them for free in the subscriber library. I love this little poem SHAWN included in the printable, so I decided to put it on a tag, create a little pocket using the ledger paper, and make it the focal point on the right page. I'm not sure you noticed, but some of the printables I'm using take up the entire 8.5 by 11 inch page, and some are smaller. I've bought PDFs before and haven't been able to adjust them, so I was excited to find that SHAWN's images are JPEGs, which means they are adjustable. I'm using a Microsoft operating system, so when I click on a photo, it opens in another window that allows me to adjust my JPEG photo. I can make the colors a little brighter or change it to black and white. I can also sharpen images using the clarity toggle. After selecting print, I select my paper size, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. But I'm also able to select a photo size. By switching this to 5 by 7 inches or 4 by 6 inches, I can print the images smaller without using a fancy photo editing program. So here I'm showing you how I created my pocket for my tag. I could have done a lot of measuring, but didn't really want to go through all that, so I just kind of used the tag to guide me on where to make folds and cuts to create the pocket. Then I just cut a square piece of the ledger paper to adhere to the front of the pocket. I spent a lot of time going back and forth with the stencil on this background, but that's because it's easier to add more than it is to take away. So as usual, I just took my time, kept adding my focal points over it, and deciding where I needed to add more of the stencil pattern. Then I decided I needed to add some brown to it as well. I debated on keeping all the footage of me building the background in, since it was going to make the video so much longer, but decided to leave it in knowing I have some beginners watching. And more experienced art journalers can fast forward through this part if they need to. I think the dusty Concord and the walnut stained Disress inks look really good together. I'm using the Ranger blending tool, which I love, but it's not always easy to see what you're doing because I can't lean in under the camera or you'd just be looking at the back of my head. I love the one SHAWN uses because the handle is angled. I need to find out who it's made by and give it a try. So while I'm working on the background, I can go ahead and share now instead of waiting till the end. I love this little poem. It reads, "Don't give up. If you've tried and have not won, never stop for crying. All that's great and good is done just by patient trying. Though young birds in flying fall, still their wings grow stronger, and the next time they can keep up a little longer. Though a sturdy oak has known many a blast that bowed her, she has risen again and grown loftier and prouder. If by easy work you beat, who the more will prize you? Gaining victory from defeat, that's the test that tries you." I hope someday my grandkids are watching, and what would I want them to get out of this? Well, it seems these days people are looking for the easy way to get things accomplished. My experience has been nothing rarely comes easy. Once I decide to do something, there always seems to be a huge learning curve. If only you'd seen me at 48 trying to learn how to ride a bike. I started on a road bike and rode with a group of ladies who clipped into their pedals, which means your cycling shoes are attached to the pedals. So before you stop, you need to unclip and put a foot down or you'll fall over. I fell over so many times on asphalt that it was painful for my husband to watch. He even threatened to buy me training wheels. But I didn't give up. I assumed that because I was right-handed, I should unclip on the right foot first, but I kept falling left. Once I started unclipping on the left, I never fell again. Huge and painful learning curve, but I didn't give up, and it's been like that for so many things in my life. So what is it that you want to accomplish? It may not be easy, but I'd like to encourage you to push through the learning curve part of the journey. Look for solutions to meet your goal and push through it. Don't give up. And when you finally fly, it will be so much more meaningful because you know what it took to get there. I do want to mention that it's SHAWN's 8th annual birthday week, and she has lots of sales August 9th through the 12th, and you don't want to miss those. She has lots of freebies on her Facebook and Instagram pages as well. So I'm just continuing to build up those layers. Just to recap, I started with collage paper, added purple and brown with a stencil, then used gesso to knock it back a little and make some areas of the pattern look softer or hazy looking. Now I'm going back over some of the gessoed area and adding just a little bit more brown and purple here and there. The first time I applied the gesso, it was just random and I just wanted to break up the pattern a little. This time I'm considering the placement of my focal point clusters and applying my gesso. I've used all free images from the subscriber library so far, but when I got to the right page, I added images from 2 other collage packs. The purple butterfly is from the Bright Butterfly Collage Pak, and the flower is from the Wander Collage Pak. Distressing the edges with ink adds depth and interest. It helps the elements pop off the page from the background. So I thought I was ready to glue down my clusters, but I kept looking at it and I felt the background needed another pattern. I started out using the Walnut Distress ink with the Paris 1 stencil, but it just wasn't dark enough. So then I tried darkening it a little more using some black Distress ink, but it just didn't pop off the page like I wanted to. I didn't want it to be solid black. That would be too much. So I pulled out some pigment ink that I knew would give me better coverage. This is SHAWN's Paint Splatters Stencil. That pigment ink was just what I needed, and now that Paris 1 Flourish is popping off the page. I'm using inks because I like the crisp edges that I get when I use them, but you could use paint if you don't have inks. I love how SHAWN used an old typewriter font and created a page of sentiments we can use in our art. If you don't get a chance to grab this freebie, you can create the same thing by downloading a free font from dafont.com. I love using the one called Mom's Typewriter. I use the same background technique for the card. The rectangle decorative element is really brown, but my printer decided it should be purple, and I have to say I agree. The decorative rectangle and clock are from the Wander Collage Pak, and the butterfly is from the Bright Butterfly collection. And here are my two 3x5 inch art cards. The supplies I use on the art cards are free from the subscribers library, except for the big butterfly. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, I would appreciate you giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell next to it and you'll get notifications whenever I post new videos. See you next time.